Hello, and welcome to Blank Plate, a podcast for Swifties with an appetite.
I'm Sara, and I used to be a little kid with glasses and a twin-size bed.
I'm Laura, and I'm a mess, but I'm the mess that you wanted.
And we've got a blank plate, baby, and we'll write your name. Welcome.
Welcome.
How we doing, Laura?
We're better than last episode. Yeah, should we just, I'll just get right. I don't know. We're surviving, okay?
Yeah.
We're not thriving, but we're surviving.
Right.
I'm going to get right into my what's on my plate. So I think last episode I was talking about how I had a loved one who was like in hospice, and I was in a bad place last episode. So my uncle passed about 2 weeks ago at this point, actually 2 weeks ago to the day, when we're recording this.
Yeah.
And my Uncle Tom was like such a huge spirit, huge personality, Michigan man, and his passing is really, really tough on my family because we're really, really, really close knit. And there's not a ton of us, but we know each other super, super well. So explaining to people that my uncle passed was really hard because I was like, you don't get it. This isn't just like a random uncle. Cause I do have some uncles that I'm like, yeah, that's my uncle, whatever. But not on my mom's side. We're all super close knit. This man helped raise me. I spent every day in the summer at his house. I have very, very long held memories with this man.
Yeah.
So my uncle passed. It was a very peaceful passing. So everything you could have asked for in terms of how someone dies happened. We all surrounded them. I feel terrible for my aunt and my cousins because they have children and they're just so young. It just feels like time has robbed us of this amazing person. Just he didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
But it is funny because when somebody dies, I feel like this happens where things start to stand out to you more. So this man loved a BMW. The amount of BMW cars I've been surrounded by in the last couple weeks is insane. We went to the garden center the other day.
Yeah.
And on either side, 2 BMWs parked beside our car. And I was like, oh my God. It's so stupid because it's just a car. But
but there's little things
yeah.
Oh my God, I'm such a sympathetic
I know, we're both crying.
Start welling up on
oh my God. We're 1 minute into this episode and we're already crying. Okay. You guys, crying on the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
so true, yeah.
There's little signs. So I'm obviously I miss him, and I've been writing a lot, which has been my way to process things. So if you are a subscriber to my Substack, I've been writing a lot about grief.
Yeah. And I texted you yesterday because I read what you wrote and I was saying how the idea, when you're going through grief like that and you look around at the world and you're like, how is everybody else just living life? As if everything's normal. You guys don't even know, which I feel like that's such a good thing to remember sometimes on a normal day for yourself. If you see someone just having a bad day, it's you really have no idea what someone's dealing with.
No.
And when you have grief like that, it just everything else just seems so inconsequential.
Oh my God.
And,
yeah. Yeah. And as a teacher, during these days when I was on bereavement leave or I was with my family, I get emails from teachers and I was like, I don't care. I love my job, but right now I don't care. I'm barely holding on and yeah. But anyway, my uncle passed. The good news is I also was talking about last episode that not only was my uncle in hospice, but my cat Vinny was not doing well.
Right. Just a double whammy.
Just when it rains, it pours vibe.
Yeah.
And Vinny has seemed to, knock on wood. Oh my God. Knock on wood. He seems to have turned a corner.
Yeah.
It's been he's doing better. We haven't had accidents or diarrhea, but it's just been, oh my God, just crazy. But things are looking up there. And also I turned 34 about a week ago. So yeah,
Happy birthday.
highs and lows. So, thank you. Thank you. This is probably the weirdest birthday I've ever had because,
definitely
you're supposed to be like happy, enjoying life.
Right.
Yeah.
Not
it was a weird birthday week. Yeah. No, but I'm doing fine and I'm really loving like family time. It's Easter. So, getting to be with family is nice. So that's always appreciated.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I'm sorry.
What's on your plate, Sarah?
Had to deal with all of that. The main thing I was going to share is that we had Record Store Day on April 12th, I think it was. So I did get up early for that and went to my local record store and stood in the rain because they open at 8. And I did this on Black Friday, and the April Record Store Day is like a bigger deal than the Black Friday one. But I knew there was a Taylor single. She released the Fortnite single, which had Fortnite on one side, and then the B side was the Fortnite remix. And honestly, I didn't care about that. I was like, I don't think I'm even going to buy that because, as we know, I don't care about Fortnite. And
yeah, Fortnite's not the song I would have gone for, but okay.
And like, even though I love, kind of the idea of collecting her stuff, I really do try to buy vinyls that I'm actually going to play. So I was like, I don't know, like, I'm sure there's going to be a million people coming here just for that. And it's like, I don't feel right, like, buying this just to, like, have it. Be like, sell it for more money at some point.
Right. No.
So I got up and it was raining and it was cold. And I was thinking, like, I bet people are going to, like,
of course,
bail on this. Because on Black Friday, I got to my record store around like 6:30 in the morning and I was number 7 in line. And so that was awesome because then
that's crazy.
Actually got the stuff that I wanted. Yeah. And they were so sweet because they can't let us start like looking and buying stuff until 8 a.m. But the owners get there around like 7:15 and they open up the doors and let us line up inside because obviously it was also cold in November.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I get there at 6:30 this time in the rain. And the line wrapped around the building already. I was like, these Swifties and people are really dedicated. So there were probably 50 people ahead of me in line. So yeah, I stood out there in the rain. I did have an umbrella for like an hour. And then around like 7:30, they let us inside again, which the owners of this place are so sweet because they let us line up inside to get out of the cold and the rain. They're also like, the bathroom's open. If you need to use it, just remember your spot in line. Like, they're so sweet.
So nice.
Yeah. But I was a little bummed because the main thing I wanted was the Gracie Abrams live at Radio City Music Hall. And it was that one. And then the Leve live at the Hollywood Bowl album. I was able to get that one, but not the Gracie. And when I finally checked out, because, I lined up at 6:30. I didn't get my way through line to actually start looking at the albums until 8:45. And then I checked out at like 9:15. So I was there for almost 3 hours. And and the owner, I asked her, like, because I had been in there like a week before and made sure that she like ordered the ones I wanted. And I was like, did you get some of the Gracie albums? And she said she only got like 7. And they went immediately in the morning. So yeah, I had like no chance. And she said she actually called her sales rep that week and yelled at them to be like, how did I only get 7 of the Gracie Abrams album?
Wow.
So, yeah. And then I also picked up for a friend, I picked up the Post Malone tribute to Nirvana album, which they got a ton of those because I saw like everyone ahead of me checking out with one of them. And then even when I got there in line, there were still like a dozen of them. And then people behind me were getting them. So I was like, man, they must have gotten a lot of those.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, it's a total crapshoot. But thankfully, the Gracie one was only RSD first. So it will eventually like come to her website. So I'll just have to try to snag one.
Man.
Yeah. So
Well, your record shop is pumping business. That's honestly amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I was doing the math and I was like, they have to do like at least 15 to 20,000 in sales on record store day. Because I was watching everybody check out. There are probably at least like 150 people that went through in the morning. And I would guess that the average person was buying like 2 to 4 albums. So they're probably spending an average of like $100 a person. So
that's wild.
Yeah. But I'm like, how much money do you make the rest of the time? Like,
yeah, like is this like the day that they like go crazy? Like they make their entire profit for the year? Right. Like seriously.
It's got to be partially that.
It's not like a record store on any given like Tuesday is making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, yeah.
But
crazy.
Maybe on like Fridays when they get new releases, maybe.
Yeah. I'm just glad that vinyl is what it is. Like, it's just something that you would have never expected to make a renaissance, but I'm so happy for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw that Taylor had announced that Fortnite was going to be the record sale day release, I was like a little disappointed just because like Fortnite is not the song I go crazy over. But I am glad that she does release things on record store day. So more kudos to that.
And when I got up to the line, there were still like 20 of the Fortnite singles left. And
so they must have bought a lot.
Contemplated it. And actually Taylor's team never announced how many total there would be released. So they must have done a lot.
Yeah.
Because like everyone was buying them. And I, again, like in line, I was like, should I get one? And then I was like, no, there's probably 20 people in line right now.
Wanting specifically that. Yeah.
Here for that. So I was like, just let them have it, you know.
Let them have it. Let them have it. Although, look, that'll be worth like $1,000 in like a year, but
because it's RSD exclusive, so that's the only way you can get it.
Yeah,
but I did see a good TikTok where someone was saying like Taylor's almost like too big now for record store day to do like a big
limited release. Yeah,
it would just be overwhelming.
So
like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
She needs like her own day to do that.
And like, just release them on your website. Just do that.
Just, or like work with independent like shops, but make it a separate day. You know?
Right.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's get into Taylor news since this is somewhat related. Okay. Yeah. There's so much that's happened, like little presents in the last couple weeks. Actually, I thought of something while you were talking and I was like,
what?
We need to talk about that. Well, I'll get right into it. Bon Iver has released his new album, Sable Fable, which love, obsessed. I love Bon Iver. But he's also did an interview with Zane Lowe talking about how his collaboration with Taylor came to be.
Yeah.
So from this interview, we learned that Justin Vernon of Bon Iver collaborated with Taylor through Aaron Dessner, as we might expect, because of their collaborative project called Big Red Machine. Is that right? Yes, Big Red Machine. And apparently she had reached out to Aaron in February 2020 about releasing a folklore-ish album, which is before COVID. So this might have been like brewing in her brain before we actually thought. So Justin Vernon said Aaron was flying out to him in February, doing gigs, listening and rehearsing, and playing demos for Big Red Machine during that time. And then, so basically Taylor reached out to Aaron. And then he said it was the love in the community that Aaron had showed me over these years and what we'd done with Big Red Machine and people and all the events that we had done. Taylor was just stepping right into that and flawlessly taking it. And then Aaron hits me up and is like, quote, "So, Butto, I think there's a song that Taylor would like to sing with you." And I was like, "Taylor?" And he said, "Yeah, I haven't told you yet, but I've been taking some of the songs and she's writing to them." And I was like, "Awesome. I'm not doing anything today." So they sent it. And I ended up adding a couple of little bits. And that's how Aaron and Joe and Taylor wrote the song. And I just sang it on SM7 in my little makeshift studio. So yeah, apparently this was happening previous to what we thought. This was not just a COVID lockdown album. There was obviously some inner workings happening before. But yeah.
So like after Lover, she might have been like, oh, I want to try this for my next project. But then COVID probably just accelerated it because she had literally nothing to do except like.
And neither did any of these artists. They're like, what are we doing? So
right. That's crazy.
I just thought that was really cool. And he did confirm that Joe was part of the process. So
I know. The way he just casually said like Aaron
we're like
and Joe, it's like
you just dropped major lore for us, but okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Oh, yeah. And I do love his new album, so everyone should take a listen.
I'm not like a huge Bon Iver fan on his
Oh my God. Listen to Short Story and get back to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't put like just the album on. It's been on shuffle in my spring playlist, so a couple of them have popped up. But I've kind of liked what I've heard. So especially the song with Danielle Haim.
Yeah.
I like that one. So I'll have to listen to it.
Yeah. I'm liking it so far. It's been on my rotation.
Yeah. Similar news, we had Lucy Dacus confirmed that the lyric in the Tortured Poets Department where he says, but you told Lucy you'd kill yourself if I ever leave. She confirmed that it's about her because Taylor texted her and asked for her approval. So Lucy said, I think it's fair game to say yes. She actually texted me and asked for my approval. I pushed play on the album just like, oh, this is so crazy. She continued, this is the first Taylor record to come out since meeting her, and listening to a friend's record feels so much different than a stranger's record.
Yeah.
And I think she was also kind of saying like, because I'm assuming she was a fan of Taylor's, but then they met, became friends.
Yeah. And she kind of knows like the lore of what was going on.
Name dropped in the album. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this kind of confirms that TTPD, the song, is about Matty Healy, as he is a mutual friend of Lucy's. And Lucy is a bandmate of Phoebe Bridgers, who opened for the Taylor's tour. And like Matty played on stage with Phoebe multiple nights on the Eras tour and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry. Anyone who thinks that TTPD, the song, is about anyone but Matty Healy, like, come on.
Yeah. Well,
confirmation.
Like, we've had one of our clips talking about the black dog, and like while we're going off about the black dog being about Matty has gone like a little bit viral for us on Instagram. And like the award for the most unhinged comment we got was someone was like, this wild speculation is exactly what Taylor has spoken out against, especially considering they never even dated. Like,
be so for real. Be so for real.
What are you talking about? And people who think like this whole album is about Joe, like, I'm sorry, but you're delusional.
Listen, we know that you can take interpretations of any of these songs a bunch of different ways, but clearly biasing your opinion to say this is not about Matty, this is not about Matty is giving like so delusional energy. She literally writes about this relationship in her Summation poem, where she literally gives you the context of where her brain was at during this time.
Yeah.
She'll never outright tell you this is about this person, but we have clues and we have context, and that's what we use. So like,
also,
get a grip.
It was definitely confirmed that she and Matty were dating, and then it was also confirmed that they broke up. Taylor's team cannot confirm a breakup about a relationship that did not happen.
This is just like, I'm sorry, people who like the black dog, like seeing people's comments. Listen, I love us Swifties. I love us so much. Yeah. But we're also like filled with really toxic personalities who also have no grip of reality, and also don't understand like the purpose of us having these conversations is to further understand the context and to like appreciate the storytelling that Taylor is able to tell us. We're not here acting like we know everything. This is us taking our assumptions based off of lyric analysis. That's literally what we're doing. But I also think that people who clearly come up with a million excuses as to why it can't be about something, I'll hear you out on anything. I'll hear you out.
Yeah.
But there are some that are just so clear. This being one of them. Okay. Confirmed. Lucy Dacus had no relationship with Joe. Period.
Yeah.
Like,
no. Why would Joe tell Lucy that he would kill himself if Taylor ever leaves?
You're joking. Like, that just never would happen. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And also like some of the comments like, why does it matter? Why are you overthinking this? It's like, we literally have a podcast about analyzing her songs. And we're obviously going to have a better analysis of the song if we also understand where Taylor was coming from when she wrote it and what her intentions were.
Yeah. And like,
yeah. It's not
it takes so much energy
or whatever.
It takes so much energy for people to comment that sort of stuff. And I'm just like,
I know, like,
or you could just move on.
Some of the comments are rude. And I like the one I just wrote, like, you need to calm down with music notes, because like sometimes I'm like, I just have to respond to some of these.
Yeah,
no. And that's why I love a comment that disagrees with us in a respectful way. And I will like those comments and I will respond to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are just rude.
Also, we're also pulling like a 30-second clip out of a hour-and-a-half podcast episode. So like, bear in mind when you see us giving like a little bit of a viral sound clip, we're doing that on purpose. Like, we're trying to spark the conversation. Yeah.
Gained a lot of followers from that. So,
and if you're a new listener, welcome. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. So other things in Taylor news, we have the Fearless Cardigan coming out to celebrate 4 years of Fearless Taylor's version being released.
Yeah, it's like crazy that it's been 4 years.
I know. It does not feel like that. And the theme for the like branding release of this commercial, if you will, of the advertising pictures are super high school themed.
Which does make sense for the Fearless album.
Absolutely. A lot of people are reading into it, Easter egg wise, that there were the amount of stars that were on it. There were never stars on the cardigans before. That's another clue. There were also lots of green.
The green lockers are very reminiscent of the lockers. But for the New Heights podcast, like, their little opening thing has green lockers.
Yeah.
So people are wondering, like, is it Easter eggs for like TS12?
Right.
Or is it for debut TV?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Could be anything. Fearless Cardigan. It's been 4 years, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Similar to that, we just 2 days ago, as of recording this, was the 1 year anniversary of the Tortured Poets Department.
And we're still here analyzing it.
Yeah.
We're still here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have to say, like, initially, I wasn't sure how TTPD was going to rank in terms of, like, how I choose to listen to Taylor. It is still one of the albums I turn on the most. I mean, just the sheer amount of music that's on the albums, including the anthology. But I think that Tortured Poets Department is something that's going to sit with us for a long time. And listen, I turned on Midnights the other day when I was cleaning. Midnights is such a bop. Like, she did treat us with so many good songs on Midnights. But when we're talking about like emotional storytelling prowess, Tortured Poets Department is some of her best work. And I'll stand by that.
Well, I recently made a playlist I called Taylor Hall of Fame, where I went through each album and pulled like my favorite songs, and I just threw them all into a playlist so that when I'm like driving or whatever, I can like put this on and know that basically every song that comes on, I'm going to be like, yes. And so I went through each album and I was kind of shocked. I got to Tortured Poets. I was like, this one, 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 this one.
You're like, and this one, and this one, this one, this one.
It is a double album, but still I was like, oh, wow.
There's a lot.
Like, at this point, I would not put Tortured Poets as like my top album. But I really believe that I cannot truly process where an album lands until we get the next album.
That is true. That is true.
Like, it has taken me yeah, like I needed Tortured Poets to come out before I really figured out how I felt about Midnights.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that.
But I also am thinking back, like, because this time last year we did our listening session, the album came out. So being in this time of year again is really like taking me back to that time. And it's funny because now looking back, I'm like, I was so depressed. Because also, like, depression is, at least for me, is always so obvious in hindsight.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it was because it was like a month after I moved, and moving is just
that was a crazy time for you.
It was a very emotionally tough time for me. And so like adjusting to that was really hard. And also just in general, like right now I'm actually on the birth control pill as a temporary hormone replacement therapy for my like premature menopause status. And this is like the most stable I have felt in a long time.
Hormones are crazy. As someone who just went off of hormonal birth control, like we have flip-flopped our lifestyle.
No, but it's like, it really, like, because I now understand that my like depression and anxiety is very much linked to a decline in estrogen.
Yeah.
Having this medication just keeping my hormone levels somewhat stable. I'm like, this is the most stable I have felt probably since the last time I was on the pill, which was like 8 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And so now, like, looking back, I was like, oh my God.
Oh, I was like going through it. Okay.
Unwell most of the time.
Well,
but yeah, it just
you were also going through a huge shift. Like you had moved, you had left your house you were in for years. Like Gilmore had passed. Like it was like so much stuff. And then this album comes out, which by the way, not an uplifting album.
It was like, it's weird because like it is a depressing album, but I was so much like, can I please not be depressed? Because like I just moved, which is like exciting. I'm also like getting married in a month. At the time this came out, I was like, I don't want to be depressed for my wedding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So actually, like, I have almost like a little bit of like PSTD or whatever, PTSD. I mean, I'm like confusing it with TTPD. PTSD.
TTPD, PTSD.
About like listening to this album because also you and I like stayed up like so late. We were so tired.
Oh my God. So beat.
And the day after, I was a mess. I was so depressed.
I
think
like
actually like the songs like Down Bad and like certain ones like they kind of like take me back to that place in a way that I don't like. So I need time from all of this, and I need the next album to come out so I can. Yeah. Because obviously, like when Folklore and Evermore came out, I was very, very, very depressed. But I love those albums.
Yeah.
But I because like
time's passed.
It made sense for me to be depressed at that time. But yeah, and so it's weird. It's like you really need time to process all of it.
I remember us saying too, like, this is not a spring album. Like, a spring album is like fresh energy, like whatever. And I truly do stand by the fact that, like, this is something that she had to get off of her desk. Like, get it off my desk
Get
vibes.
it off my desk, yeah.
I gotta, like, get this out there. It didn't matter what timeline. I think if her team and her really thought, like, when would be the appropriate thing, it would have been, like, a fall.
Yeah,
like
it's a Halloween album.
Yeah, and
that's my hypothesis.
I remember listening to it initially and being like, this is so weird that I'm listening to these depressing, like heart-wrenching songs in April when there's like magnolia trees blooming and like cherry blossoms. And I was just like, oh my God. But it was such a weird place. And I so look forward to the next album drop, whether it's Rep, whether it's debut, whether it's like a TS12, whatever, because I want to enjoy the listening the first time so much more. And I know that we did. I know that we enjoyed it, but it felt like a marathon. It felt like we like a task.
That into
day 1 and day 2. Like we should have slept over.
Yeah.
Like we should have done this and then like
Yeah.
second half, I don't know. But like I
Yeah.
felt like we like had to push through listening.
Mm-hmm.
And in hindsight, I wish we just like did it so we could actually enjoy it. You know?
Yeah, like the Chats and Reacts girls on YouTube, they did the standard album one day.
Yeah.
And they did Anthology the next day.
Yeah.
And we should have done that.
That's how we should have done it. Listen to our Chats and Reacts girlies because they know what they're doing. So
yeah. So next time Taylor does a double record, we'll split it up.
Could happen any day. Yeah. We're not even done with Taylor news yet. Okay. So Swedish DJ Jacob Kriborn, I think I'm saying that right, accidentally dropped in an interview that he finishing up working on Taylor's record. This man is a violinist and a composer / orchestrator who has worked with Ariana Grande, Harry Styles, Ed Sheeran, Lady Gaga, and Coldplay.
No, that's not Jacob, though. Jacob, the one in the interview, he was about Eric Arvinder, who he works with.
Yeah, who was finishing up her record.
Yeah, and he's like getting ready to work on something with Eric. And Eric said, I need to finish up working on Taylor's record before he could hop on the new project with Jacob. So Eric
and
Arvinder
Jacob had said that in an interview. Yeah.
Yeah. So he like dropped that by accident, kind of. But yeah, so Eric Arvinder, he's a violinist and composer / orchestrator. He's worked with Ariana Grande, Harry Styles, Ed Sheeran, Lady Gaga, Coldplay. So it's no surprise he would also work with Taylor.
Of course.
But again, like this could be anything. It could be TS12. It could be like re-recordings like Reputation. Probably
as a violinist,
that it would be like rep instead of like debut. I don't think he's doing like country violin.
Well, fiddle and violin is the same thing, so it could very well be either. And I think all of her records in some capacity is used strings, so it could basically be anything.
Be anything.
But it's good to know that he's finishing something up with Taylor. So
yeah, and also again, like this is no shocker. Like, oh, Taylor has strings on a record and Taylor's working on a record. Like, this is not news.
Oh,
but I guess
duh.
It's like,
yeah,
we can kind of like maybe glean from this, like because of who else he's worked with, makes us think it's more of like a very like pop sound.
Yeah.
So who knows?
And then on the dark side of things. Taylor had to issue a cease and desist letter to Kanye West after he posted some gross and false sexual tweets about her in relationship to Harry Styles and Justin Bieber. Since then, the tweet has been deleted. Source says that she and her team were left with, quote, no other option. And, quote, at this time, he has gone too far. His claims are not just false, they are defamatory. This isn't just gossip. This is sexual harassment, defamation, and an intentional effort to cause harm and reputational harm. And this continues to be like Kanye West being problematic in a series of other problematic things that he has done. But I know that Tree Pain is just waiting to step on that man's neck. I mean, I know that my girl Tree is just waiting for him to mess up. And this was like, don't mess around with us. We're like, this was a major threat. I don't know what sort of recourse will happen after this, but obviously issuing someone a cease and desist, and he did delete the tweet, means that he's probably listening to that.
So the cease and desist is basically like a warning. So then if behavior like this continues from him, they could hit him with a defamation lawsuit and sue him. Also, Harry Styles' team has denied the rumors, saying Styles is, quote, angered by the outrageous comments, and he will lend his support to Taylor however it is needed. So
our king.
Yeah.
We love Harry Styles. Yeah. So it's giving Reputation vibes. So we shall see. But it is honestly like Taylor lives rent free in this man's head.
He's the best.
Yeah. So it's
Well, in more fun news, the Swifties have banded together to help bring Fresh Out the Slammer up in the charts as like a sleeper hit. So it's been climbing the charts. And that brings us to today's episode, because we
Woohoo!
haven't covered it yet. So we thought, why not cover it now? Well, it's like being talked about a lot and
Yeah.
everyone is trying to give it some love that it hasn't really gotten yet.
Yeah. So going over the logistics of Fresh Out the Slammer, we have TTPD as the album, obviously, was released on the original album on April 19th, 2024, just over a year ago, written and produced by Taylor and Jack Antonoff. And we're going to categorize this as a fountain pen song, not a quill pen, not a glare gel pen. She's getting right to the point.
Yeah.
And I will say that initially this song was a skip for me.
Mhm.
I remember being like really into the opening of this song, but then I remember confusing this song with like I Can Fix Him, No Really I
Yes.
Can. Like it's sort of like in
Yeah.
the muddiness that was the first
Mhm.
listen or two.
Yeah.
This was sort of muddied with a bunch of other songs early in the record. But now this is one of my favorite songs.
Mm.
I love the westerny opening, and I also think that this really illustrates the world, the imaginary aesthetic that Taylor was trying to draw for us, with
Yeah.
images of like the slammer, jail, western, bad boy vibes. Also, there are so many references to other songs in this song. When we were unpacking this, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like she has
Yeah.
a layered, complex relationship to other songs within this song.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun analyzing this because I was like, oh, that is a tie back to Guilty as Sin. This is a tie back to,
Mhm.
So Long London. Anyway, and
Right.
I just think that she really does say a lot in this song without being harsh or brutal.
Right.
Like, I think there are times when Taylor's lyricism is cutting and gets right to the point. This one draws the imaginary world, but also tells us a lot of lore. So
Mhm.
I like it for that
Yeah, she kind
reason.
of drops the T in this one.
Yeah. Subtly.
This song was definitely a skip for me out the gate, and honestly, I'm still coming around to it.
Really? I love
Yeah.
this song.
Yeah, I mean, as per usual, I enjoy it more now that we've like done the notes for it and we're analyzing it. But yeah, it's definitely low on the totem pole for me on this album. And I think it falls in the category of ones that I preferred when she performed it live on the Eras tour.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's weird because I don't dislike the kind of westerny production of it, but I think I would maybe prefer it with different production. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, the acoustic version of this that she did release at one point, I think I like better.
Mm-hmm.
It gives it like a little bit more of like a folklore vibe, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. Um, but in general, yeah, definitely not my
Yeah.
favorite.
I love this song. I feel like this is a sleeper hit for me.
Mhm.
This and Guilty as Sin are probably my two most played on.
Really?
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
we obviously chose this because it's been climbing in the charts and like it's getting its time and
Right.
acknowledgement. So just like a brief synopsis about like the lore of this song is that it's capturing that fantasy of like the one who got away,
Mhm.
using a lot of like prison break crime metaphors. Um, its overall concept can be read, or at least I'm going to choose to read it as surface level. Taylor's acknowledging that someone else has been lurking in her mind for a long time,
Mhm.
even when she was doing her time with another man, aka
Mhm.
Joe. Um, and now it's time. She's ready. He's ready. And
Yeah.
fresh out the slammer, she knows who her first call is too, and she's
Yeah.
dropping the T within that.
Mhm.
Um, that now I know there's a lot of people who read this as Taylor coming home to herself.
Yeah, which
Um,
I do really like
yeah, me too.
that idea. But I
Yeah.
also and we'll talk about this obviously, but I think this is definitely one of those songs of Taylor's that can be interpreted multiple ways. Probably even to Taylor has multiple meanings
Mm-hmm.
because I think there are like there's a lot of evidence that she is talking about herself. Um or even like coming back to like her passions and to her fans.
Yeah.
That part of herself, like the pop star version of herself. But there's also like very obvious clues that she's talking about Maddie Healy and the fact that they had like a flirtation like 10 years ago that was like cut short, never came to fruition when they were younger. Yeah. So there's a lot that we're going to talk about here.
Yeah, and I think you're going to hear both of those in this episode. I definitely, once again, lean towards the Maddie Healy of it all. What else is new? But in her summation poem, Taylor says, "Spring sprung forth with dazzling freedom hues, then a crash from the skylight bursting through. Someone old, someone hollowed, someone who told me he could make me brand new. And so I was out of the oven and into the microwave, out of the slammer and into a tidal wave." So for me, I mean, she literally uses out of the slammer. And again, an ex-fling becoming part of her life after a breakup. And then her sort of processing like he's been there the whole time. And also, I want to put myself into the like headspace of when she probably was writing this, right? There's an eagerness and like a hopefulness to this song. Like here I am, like we're going to make this work. But there's also like a sadness to it. I don't know. Hopeful and sad at the same time.
Right.
So.
And that section you read from the In Summation poem, I love this line about, and so I was out of the oven and into the microwave, because like, the oven is like slow, consistent, steady heat, and a microwave is like quick and intense. So Joe's the oven, Maddie's the microwave. And I like that comparison because the truth is like they're both bad and painful. I mean, assuming that like you should not be cooked, right? Like, assuming this is literally her. This is not like a cake, right? Like this is something that should not be in the oven. So they're both bad and painful, but just hurting in different ways. Like, and that's why I think those songs that are so clearly about Joe have such a different tone than these ones that we believe to be about Maddie. Because with Joe, it like she was done. Like, she was exhausted. She was burnt out from that. But then these Maddie songs talk about that, like the spark that they had and this hopefulness that she had for it. And then it was just suddenly, it was like out, like a match.
It's gone.
Just blew out so fast and left her standing there like, what the hell just happened?
Yep.
You know?
And that's sort of the metaphor we get in Down Bad, where it's an alien abduction, something beautiful and short-lived, and then it's just gone, and you're just supposed to pretend like that never happened. Like, I did love, one of my favorite resources is a website called Swiftly Sung Stories. It's an English teacher analyzing the lyrics of Taylor's songs, and she says, in the title track TTPD, so Not Fresh Out the Slammer, we get a clue that Taylor was running from something. It's the tortured poets department, meaning tortured poets, plural, departing each other, right? And not the tortured poets with a apostrophe, like possessive, you know. Anyway, she's leaving. In Fresh Out the Slammer, we get a clue what she's running to and also where she's been. She's departing this cage of a relationship and moving on to greener pastures. The rest of the album will give us clues as to how this prison break ends, but for the moment, her narrative is free and hopeful. It won't end that way, but it was a beautiful, fresh start for a while. And I love that because we get jail's metaphor in this, and it's giving running through the what is it? Oh my God, what is it for Daddy? I love him.
Defenses or something.
Yeah.
All right. So should we get into it?
Yes. Let's unpack this song. So here's how the song starts.
Now, pretty baby, I'm running back home to you. Fresh out the slammer, I know who my first call will be to. Fresh out the slammer,
I think it was this song because I was editing our reaction video, which will come out one day. I'm making progress. But I think it was this song that when it started, we were like, ooh, sexy? Like, just like
We're like, what?
You know, like just the way she like, sings that. It's very sultry, you know?
Yeah. Fresh out the slammer. Well, obviously, slammer equals jail equals imprisonment. Or we can read this as feeling stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And that made us think of like all the different times she has mentioned cages, prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize this, and maybe I'm an idiot, but like, okay, the lyric, he can be my jailer, Burton to this Taylor from Ready for It, right?
Yeah.
I did not understand that jailer is Joe and Taylor together. Like their celebrity name. Right? Right?
Oh my God.
He can be my jailer, like Joe and Taylor. Burton to this Taylor, but also my jailer, like he's like, he's imprisoned me.
At the time, this was when Taylor like went into hiding and she was with Joe.
Yeah.
So
double entendre, double meaning. I don't know, but anyway, that was where my brain immediately went. That's literally crazy. Joe is the jailer.
I've never heard that before.
Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. She also in So It Goes on Reputation, she says gold cage hostage to my feelings.
Yep.
But then
and we're not playing that because we don't have Reputation Taylor's version yet, but
right.
Yeah.
But the main one we got to talk about is from Guilty as Sin.
Yeah.
Where he says this.
All my boredom's bone deep. This cage was once just fine.
Yeah.
Which again refers back to the Ready for It, he can be my jailer. Because this is where it's like from this song and especially Guilty as Sin, we really hear how much Taylor was like ready to be out of that relationship. And her saying like, this cage was once just fine. And in Ready for It, she says he can be my jailer. Like she was happy with it at one point. But now she's fresh out the slammer. She's ready to be out.
Yeah.
You know? Ugh.
Implied this cage was once just fine is saying like it's not fine anymore.
Yeah.
So she's wanting to break free.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Let's go to verse 1.
Okay. Another summer taking cover, rolling thunder. He don't understand me. Splintered back in winter, silent dinners, bitter. He was with her in dreams. Gray and blue and fights and tunnels, handcuffed to the spell I was under. For just 1 hour of sunshine, years of labor, locks and ceilings, in the shade of how he was feeling. But it's gonna be alright, I did my time.
Oh, she dropped a lot of information there.
This verse is crazy. Like, looking at our notes for this, we have so many things to refer back to. But it's like this verse, she really lays it all out for us.
Yes.
Exactly what happened with her and Joe.
Yep.
This is crazy.
Yep.
So let's start at the beginning here. Another summer, taking cover, rolling thunder.
Yeah.
So taking cover could mean like hiding away from the spotlight, like for his sake or for her own sake, like in 2016, which she did. Also, it could refer to COVID.
Yeah.
When she was writing Folklore and Evermore, which we now looking at that, it's like she was not happy with him.
No. Okay. Yeah.
And then Rolling Thunder, I take that to mean like problems in the relationship and like arguments, turbulence and stuff.
Yeah. I took the rolling thunder as like, like when it's a summer thunderstorm and like you can hear the rumbling and rolling thunder off in the distance.
Yeah.
Like essentially it's a warning that a storm is going to come. Like this knowing that the end is near or knowing that there's problems off in the distance that we're not acknowledging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this like warning sign that basically like something's coming.
Totally. And it makes me think of this part of You're Losing Me.
Oh.
Every morning I glared at you with storms in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The storm of being unhappy and
they were not
like not acknowledging it fully.
Yeah.
No. Also, just the sadness of he don't understand me. Like, even though you've been with this man for so long, there's this deep misunderstanding of who she is. She feels misunderstood or not fully embraced for who she is.
Right.
And also, like, I feel like when she's saying that, like, he don't understand me, refer to like you do. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
right.
implied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Splintered back in winter, silent dinners bitter. Girl. Okay. It's giving tolerated vibes. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially the way that she illustrated it on the Eras tour. And also
the fancy shit and
yes.
I sit and watch you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you tolerate it. But anyway, you also brought up the fact of this infamous photo of the two of Joe and Taylor at dinner in New Orleans 2022, right? And
so it was
Taylor looked so miserable. Oh,
yeah.
See? Winter.
Yes, exactly. So this photo's like famous because they're sitting at this restaurant together. Taylor looks very unhappy. And also, it's kind of famous because sorry, they're collecting my recycling right now. If you can hear that outside the window.
I thought it was a siren. I was like, huh? Yeah.
No. So the photo's also famous because Joe is in the like booth seat.
Which we know is for girls.
Get that to the lady.
The girls get that. Anyway.
And so Taylor is sitting in the regular seat, which I also think, I don't know, you could read this two ways because I don't know. As an anxious person, I think about this. You could say, well, Joe is in the seat where he can stay behind Taylor and keep an eye on everything, right? As like a watch person. But I also feel like it makes Taylor vulnerable because she's the one on the outside, which is closest to everyone else.
That's easier access to her.
It's also easier for everyone to see her there. So
and
they just look if she was in the booth seat.
They just look so miserable in this picture. Like, and it wasn't like this was a paparazzi picture. This was just someone in that restaurant who snapped a picture of them. You know?
So winter, silent, dinner, bitter.
Yeah.
And then that made me think of this part of It's Time to Go.
When the dinner is cold and the chatter gets old, you ask for the tab.
You ask for the tab, like, I'm done. Get me
I'm done.
Checking out. I am
I'm checked out.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. And then all the while, he was with her in dreams. It's giving guilty as sin. Okay? It's giving guilty as sin. Also, like, I've been dreaming of you this whole time. And, okay, so we have two different opinions on this lyric. So, I took this literally as he was with her in dreams. Like, Taylor is writing about herself in third person. Her, it meaning Taylor. He, meaning Maddie, was with her in dreams, a la guilty as sin vibes. This like unsettled feeling of unfinished business with this person. You took this as something else. How did you take this?
Okay, so I read the he as Joe because every other he used in this verse seemingly refers to Joe. Like we have, he don't understand me. And then in the shade of how he was feeling, right? So he was with her in dreams, to me, refers to those rumors of Joe possibly cheating with a co-star, which I'm not saying that's true, but that was definitely out there. And if Taylor was feeling insecure in this relationship, like what we talked about in London, like you shouldn't be scared every day of a love affair.
Yeah.
Right? So
Joe is dreaming of his
he was with
other
someone
woman
else in dreams because they're having silent dinners. He's with her in dreams. Like he's with someone.
Oh, and that's why he's insisting that friends look at each other like that. Like her paranoia of being like, you like her.
Yeah. So that's this line from It's Time to Go as well.
Oh, that moment again. He's insisting that friends look at each other like that.
Understand.
Oh, we're just friends. Like we're just co-stars. But he was with her
in dreams. Okay, I like that. I like this reading.
And even if he wasn't, that's how Taylor feels, right?
Right,
like,
the paranoia.
Is not like confirmation. It's the fact that they're having silent, bitter dinners. And in her mind, he's with someone else.
He's checked out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we have gray and blue and fights and tunnels. Good gracious. Okay. Gray. Okay, we know that Taylor likes to use colors to symbolize different things. Gray made both of us think of this one from You're Losing Me. Gray equals.
My face was gray, but you wouldn't admit that we were sick.
And let's not forget that TTPD in general is gray. Like, grayish. But
grayish.
Her face was gray. So she's like losing the will. Like she's slowly dying. And then we have blue. And we know that Joe equals blue for many reasons. Mm-hmm. One of which being this line from Peace.
But I'm a fire and I'll keep your brittle heart warm. If you cascade, ocean wave blues come.
We also know that blue is the color of Joe's eyes, as a side note.
True.
And we also have this line from So Long, London.
You sacrifice us to the gods of your bluest days.
And also, like, Joe is someone who how much sad did you think I had? Like, Joe is obviously someone who has depression or, like we're insinuating that, but he's someone who definitely has some mental health.
There's also Hoax where she says, don't want no other shade of blue but you. So.
Right. And those call back to Joe. Mm-hmm. And then fights and tunnels. And everyone's like, tunnels? Mm-hmm. And then we thought of this from Cornelia Street.
But then you called, showed your hand. I turned around before I hit the tunnel, sat on the roof, you and I.
Before I hit the tunnel.
Yeah. So that's talking about like having a fight and then she leaves. But before she even hits the tunnel, she turns around to come back. So fight.
And you can also read
blue and fights and tunnels. Just like basically 4 words that tell us so much there.
Yeah. She really did give us a load of information in those few words. Mm-hmm. Handcuffed to the spell I was under for just 1 hour of sunshine. Once again, referring back to Joe's depression, where she's like just hoping to get something out of this sad situation where you'd get an hour of sunshine. Ugh, so sad.
Yeah. She made me think of this line from So Long, London.
Stop trying to make him laugh. Stop trying to drill the safe.
Right.
Yeah. Because So Long, London is like it has ended and it's like the acceptance of that ending.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So she's in this song, she's referring back to what she was doing, which was handcuffed to the spell I was under for just 1 hour of sunshine. Like she had been trying so hard. And then also that line from So Long, London, stop trying to drill this safe. Also kind of refers back to this next line, which is years of labor, locks, and ceilings. Like he was a locked safe that she was trying to drill.
Yeah.
Which also brings
Drill
us to
open.
the whole jail slammer metaphor here too.
Yep. And this
like
cage was once fine.
Yeah, which we mentioned above. And then also years of labor, locks, and ceilings. You might be like, what the heck is she talking about ceilings for, right? Kind of like the tunnel thing. And it's got to be this from Lavender Haze.
Staring at the ceiling with you. Oh, you don't ever say too much.
Which Lavender Haze is like now in hindsight, you can look back at that song and be like, girl, like, are you happy?
It's
you know?
Lulu.
You don't ever say too much.
She put it on the Denial playlist, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I think she did.
Which we're referring back to when Taylor like categorized her work into the different stages of grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we did a whole episode on. So if you want to go back, you can listen to that.
We'll link that in the show notes, but like that's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
In the shade of how he was feeling, obviously like shade could be like literally like you are in the darkness when the sun is out, like you're cowering, you're hiding, you're like trying to disguise yourself from what is going on outside in the world. But also shade is a color, so the blue of
in the
who he is,
of how he was feeling. Yeah, but like her being in the shade of how he was feeling, it was like he was covering her and blocking out the light.
Yeah, sad. Very sad.
Yeah. Trying to find that sunshine for just 1 hour of sunshine, but he is blocking out the light.
Right. She's in the shade. She's trying to find an hour of sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
A dysfunctional relationship at its core.
Yeah.
But it's going to be all right. I did my time. Like, I've served my sentence. Now I'm free.
Yeah.
And she's also, like, reassuring herself that it's okay. Like, she's like, acknowledging that, like, it's going to be all right. Like, I did my time. It's time to move on. Like, I've done what I could do.
I did all that I could. And we see this a couple times in this album because you also kind of see her reassuring herself in So Long London as well, where she says this.
And you say I abandoned the ship, but I was going down with it.
Right.
Like being kind of like defensive, like, oh, you're going to say that I gave up. But actually, no, I really, really tried hard and I did all that I could. And now I did my time and it's time for me to walk away, which again brings me to It's Time to Go, where she says this.
Sometimes walking out is the one thing that will find you the right thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's like, fresh out the slammer, I know who my first call will be too. So she's walking out on one thing to hopefully find the next right thing.
Greener pastures. Yep.
Yeah.
So let's get to chorus 2.
Now, pretty baby, I'm running back home to you. Fresh out the slammer, I know who my first call will be too. Fresh out the slammer.
Yeah.
What's crazy is like, fresh out the slammer, I know who my first call will be to. Also, low-key implies that she knows that whoever this person is going to pick up. Right? Fresh out the slammer, I know who my first call is to because I know he'll answer. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's this knowing of like, I'm going to call and I know that you're going to pick up. So it's a little hopeful, but also low-key, Yeah. But like, imagine when Taylor was writing this. I'm sure she was writing this when things were good, with Maddie, hypothetically.
Right.
Where like
Yeah, or at
she's
least
acknowledging
from the mindset of where she was at that
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm. All right, verse 2.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Candle flashes, welcome bashes, get the matches, toss the ashes off the ledge. As I said in my letters, now that I know better, I will never lose my baby again. My friends tried but I wouldn't hear it, watch me daily disappearing. For just one glimpse of his smile, all those nights he kept me going, swirled you into all of my poems. Now we're at the starting line, I did my time.
In verse 2, we're very clearly moving on from like Joe to like the aftermath of like the breakup ? Camera flashes, welcome bashes. So basically like she's out in the public again. Remember all those like girl dinners where we were like, oh my God, it's giving 1989, the girl squad,
Yeah, like I take the welcome bashes to definitely mean all those girl dinners where it's like one of your besties just gets out of a bad relationship and you're like, girl, welcome back.
Let's go out.
Let's go out. Let's have fun. And the fact that she had been staying so private when she was with Joe, and now she's like, I'm single. I can do what I want. And she was going out with her girls.
Yeah.
She was
wear your cute outfits. Yep. Get the matches, toss the ashes off the ledge. So like, get the matches is like light it up, set it all on fire. Like we're moving on. We're wiping the slate clean. Toss the ashes to me is like literally like toss the aftermath and the fallout of like how that relationship sort of felt at the end. Like off the ledge is like basically, literally like wipe the slate clean.
Also, that reminds me of, you look this up. It's on Maroon. It starts by saying, when the morning came, we were cleaning incense off your vinyl shelf. So it makes me wonder, like, again, is that kind of a subtle reference to Maroon, which may be about Maddie?
To me, like, when I think of, like, tossing ashes off the ledge, I think of, like, someone who's smoking a cigarette on, like, a balcony, And it's, like, toss the ashes off the ledge, like, literally, like, when you have, like, cigarette ashes on the thing, and just, like, get it off. Like, clean it up.
Right. Also, I was, like, looking back to our reaction video for this one, and in our video, I say that this part makes me think of the Midnight's album cover where she's holding the lighter. And so in hindsight, the Midnight's album was definitely written during like the slow death of their relationship at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Her and Joe. Kind of like lighting it on fire and burning it up, maybe? So get the matches, toss the ashes off the ledge. Like, it's already happened. Midnight's was really like the end of that. And now we're tossing the
beginning of the end. Yep. As I said in my letters, now that I know better, I will never lose my baby again. Okay, so I take that whole thing as like one phrase. So I think, as I said in my letters, is like a poetic way of saying, like, as I said to you in our messages back and forth to each other, like texts. I know better. I will never lose my baby again equals like, I've learned. I know better now. And like, I'm not going to lose you this time. Like, I'm not going to let you go the way that you slipped through my fingers before. Because they were, like, as we know, Maddie and Taylor were a short-lived thing previously. And it obviously sort of fell out. And, I'm sure she has a lot of, like, unresolved understanding of, like, what happened and how. So she's like, I know better. I'm not going to let that happen. Like, we're going to take this seriously. That's how I take it.
This whole section of this song is part of what makes me think that she's at least partially talking about running back to herself. Which, as I said in my letters, could maybe refer to her songwriting.
Yeah.
But her saying, I will never lose my baby again. Yeah, could be Maddie, but could be her. And then this next part, my friends tried, but I wouldn't hear it. Watch me daily disappearing.
Yeah.
This part here is what really makes me think she's talking about herself somewhat. Which actually reminds me of, I'm going to play a non-Taylor clip. Okay. Let me find it. Okay. So this is from Kelsey Ballerini, her song Leave Me Again. It's from her like divorce EP called Rolling Up the Welcome Mat, which is one of my favorite little, not albums, but like pieces of work of all time. So I'm going to play this section of her song, which I feel like this little Kelsey Ballerini thing. I feel like it's a very similar feeling to the way Taylor was feeling at the end of her relationship with Joe and having to come back to herself and what she truly wants for herself and all that stuff. So this is Kelsey.
For a while the shoe fit, but then I outgrew it, and staying only made me get real good at pretend. So I hope I never leave me again.
Like, I feel like that whole section there could be Taylor talking about her and Joe. Like, for a while the shoe fit, like this cage was once just fine, but then I outgrew it. Staying only made me get real good at pretend, like the denial in Lavender Haze, like trying to convince herself that this is what she wants. And then now that it's over, I hope I never leave me again. So
yeah,
I will never lose my baby again. Like, all that reminds me of that, which, makes me think that she could be talking about herself.
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely read this more as like her referring everything back to Maddie now. Like, now I'm looking at it and I'm like, actually, because for a while I thought this, like, my friends tried, but I wouldn't hear it. Watch me daily disappearing is like her falling into her relationship with Joe and like losing her sense of self, right? And like imagining being Taylor's friend and watching her being miserable with a man, right?
Right.
But now I'm like, wait, could this just be my friends tried, but I wouldn't hear it, warning her about how Maddie is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Watch me daily disappearing for just one glimpse of his smile. It's giving like when you're in a new relationship and you're just like obsessed, like you'll bail out on all these other plans with your friends. Like you'll just disappear because you're in a new relationship for just one glimpse of his smile.
Yeah, I think I've definitely read it that way before too.
I think that's how I'm reading it now.
Talking about Maddie, because it's also very like, but daddy, I love him.
Yeah.
Because I bet her friends were also kind of like, Taylor, what are you doing with this guy?
Yeah, not him.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. For just one glimpse of his smile, like, yeah. So now, like, this song clip, I don't even know if I think it's a connection anymore.
I do. I still, like, I think...
Okay.
Yeah, I think because my friend... like, I definitely, like I'm saying, you can read this multiple ways. I think Taylor could have meant it multiple ways. But her saying my friends tried, but I wouldn't hear it is past tense. And this song is really like her getting with Maddie. So I still think I lean more towards it referring to her being with Joe and watching her daily disappearing. Because then for just one glimpse of his smile, well, yeah, I don't know if this clip from So Long London is exactly what I would say, but I would say it's kind of like the clip, I stopped trying to make him laugh, stop trying to drill the safe.
Right,
I would refer back to that one that we played earlier.
Right. Yeah. If you're taking it like a mixed bag of feelings, for sure. But if you're saying like verse 1 is about Joe, verse 2 is about Maddie, like it's an interesting... And also, like we said, you could take this a million ways, right? Like, you could take this Taylor talking about herself, losing herself.
Well, here, let me play this one from So Long London real quick. Okay, so this is what we're alluding to.
Holding tight to your quiet resentment, and my friend said it isn't right to be scared. Every day a love affair, every breath feels like rarest air, when you're not sure if he wants to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that definitely connects to this. The idea of my friends tried to tell me like, hey, this isn't normal. Like, you're not really happy in this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't hear it. Watch me daily disappearing for just one glimpse of his smile. Like,
every breath feels like rarest air. Like one glimpse of his smile. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could take it both ways. That's the beauty of this song.
Right.
Oh my God. And our favorite line, swirled you into all of my poems. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which like is literally her saying like, I have hidden this relationship, this longing I have for you in all of my songs. It's giving, I keep these longings locked in lowercase inside a vault. Okay. And we know that Cardigan equals Maddie now. I mean, we talked about this in the last episode. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry, like.
Also, I just gotta say, paying attention to like pronouns and stuff. For just one glimpse of his smile, referring to Joe, and then swirled you.
Yeah.
You is Maddie. She's talking about Maddie.
Yeah.
Like I know who my first call will be too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like, I will never lose my baby again. That could be herself. Yeah. So it's like, I don't think that she would say for just one glimpse of his smile, referring to Maddie, and then say all those things you kept me going. Because she would have said for just one glimpse of your smile. Right?
True. Yeah. Yeah, true.
So
I love this song.
Yeah. There's so much to talk about. And then, of course, at the end, where she says, now we're at the starting line. I did my time. Hello. Wait, where is it? Did I not pull this?
I got it.
Okay.
How you don't miss me in the black dog when someone plays the starting line and you jump up, but she's too young to know this song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're at the starting line.
Refer back to our whole episode about the black dog.
Yeah. It's giving hopeful new relationship energy. Now we're at the starting line. Like, we're just starting. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Bridge time?
Yes.
All right. I combined this with the outro because the outro is really short. So here's basically the end of the song.
Now, pretty baby, I'm running to the house. We still wait up in that porch like gleams. To the one who says I'm the girl of his American dreams. And no matter what I've done, it wouldn't matter anyway. Ain't no way I'm gonna screw up now that I know what's at stake here. At the park where we used to sit on children's swings, wearing imaginary rings. But it's gonna be alright, I did my time.
This ending is so the 1975. Yeah.
I was going to say it's so Jack Antonoff.
Wow.
Very like Bleachers.
That would make sense.
I feel like.
Yeah. Now, we have to talk about to the house where you still wait up and that porch light gleams. Like, we know that porch light is something that she's used in Cardigan in this clip.
I knew you'd miss me once the thrill expired, and you'd be standing in my front porch light, and I knew you'd come back to me.
Once again, Cardigan is a Maddie song. Just like porch light to me is like you're still holding on to this like hope of like you're keeping the porch light on, meaning like you're expecting them to return.
Right.
It's like when someone's like, yeah, I'll leave the porch light on for you. Like you're still like holding a torch for this person.
Yeah.
So
So then in Peter, we get this.
But the woman who sits by the window has turned out the light.
Yeah. So she's definitely using this porch light thing as a metaphor for her and Maddie still like carrying a torch for one another.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so in Cardigan, she's saying, and you'd be standing in my front porch light. I knew you'd come back. But then in Peter, she's finally turned it off.
Right.
The woman who sits by the window has turned out the light. Like, I'm done waiting for you. I'm done waiting for this to happen. And I've given up on this.
Yep. Yeah. And then, okay, this to me, the next line is the biggest giveaway that this is about Maddie. To the one who says, I'm the girl of his American dreams. Now, listen, we know that both Joe and Maddie are British and Taylor is American. But only one of the two of them have a song called She's American, which has literally been potentially referencing Taylor since this album came out. Like everyone sort of said, oh, is this song about Taylor Swift? Because it does talk about like the speculation of like them having a fling, a situationship. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is why I think that it's about Maddie, like this whole song, because American Dreams is her signaling like, here it is. Like on a platter, like,
yeah,
who do you think this song's about? American Dreams. And I did pull some lyrics from the song. She's American, which a lot of people refer to Taylor as like, here it is. And now she's dancing, enthralling. I guess I gotta wait my turn. I said, don't fall in love with the moment. She said, I've got a lot to learn, which is like, think about, you know, post 1989 Taylor's dancing at a 1975 show. Like she's just like, you know, Maddie's just enthralled with who she is. And then he said, don't fall in love with the moment. She's like, I don't care. I've got a lot to learn. Yeah.
I also think, I guess I got to wait my turn. Makes me think, of, I did my time.
Yeah.
Taylor did her time. He's got to wait his turn.
And he's waiting up with a porch light. Yeah.
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 I guess first call will be to you, babe.
Yep. She knows. I think she knows. Anyway.
Yeah.
Ain't no way I'm going to screw up now. I know what's at stake. Like, I'm not going to let this go a second time. Yeah. Referring back to like that previous relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. Like their alleged fling from years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not wanting to lose that.
And then also here at the park where we used to sit on children's swings, referencing like when they were younger and rekindling that same spark that they had before, like 10 years ago, which also makes us think of LML.
We embroidered the memories of the time I was away, stitching, we were just kids, babe.
And wearing imaginary rings is like when, you know, it's like this childlike, we're sitting on children's swings when we were young and we thought like we were going to end up together. Like we're like promising the future to each other wearing imaginary rings. Like,
yeah,
not real rings, but like we were committed, which made us think of the ring references in TTPD. This is beyond.
At dinner, you take my ring off my middle finger and put it on the one. People put wedding rings on, and that's the closest I've come to my heart exploding.
Girl.
Yeah, and then she also references it again in LOML.
You shit talked me under the table, talking rings and talking cradles. I wish I could unrecall how we almost had it all.
Woo. Yeah.
Yeah. This album really gives us like all the various moments in time.
Oh, the tea.
With her and Maddie.
Oh, yes. I mean, like I said, this song really does a good job of like illustrating the world and hopefulness that she had without, she tells us everything without saying anything. Like, there's no like cutting truths in this, but there are like she's giving us the backstory, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I think, so like moving on to our like final analysis here,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting because at the surface level, this song is like, I'm free now and I'm running to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on a deeper level, this song is doing a lot of describing how unhappy she was in her relationship with Joe.
Oh,
for,
yeah.
like, a good portion of the song. Like, it's not
Yeah.
as much about like Maddie, like the next person, more like until the bridge, I guess. It's almost like a part one and a part two. It's like first she's processing the end of the relationship and why it had to end and
Mhm.
reassuring herself that it is time to go. And then the next part is like moving on to what she's hoping for next. And I feel like
Mhm.
that became really clear when we were doing our research for this episode. It's like when you do these deep dives and you see where all the parallels are coming from.
Yeah.
Like there's so much like So Long London, You're Losing Me, It's Time to Go. And I don't really associate this song with those songs.
No,
Like
but
I
there are
associate it
so
more with,
many
like,
tiebacks.
but like, yeah, like Guilty as Sin. Yes, absolutely. But we pulled so many clips from like So Long London and You're Losing Me,
Yeah.
It's Time to Go, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and like in the timeline of things, this doesn't make sense with all those other songs, but those other details come back in
Mhm.
other forms later in the album too, like with LOML. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Right.
This is just proof that she's just an excellent storyteller. Like it's just
Mhm.
beyond.
Yeah, and this is why we get so invested because she gives us so much information.
I know.
You know?
Like I feel like if you didn't understand Taylor's backstory, you would listen to this song and be like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, there's a past relationship, but like, we're like, you don't get it. You know, like, you don't get it.
You don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's do our favorite lyric and rating. My favorite lyric is by far this one, which we've talked about a lot, but
All those nights he kept me going, swirled you into all of my poems.
I just remember hearing that and being like, oh, this is like,
Yeah.
like we have to go back and revisit all of her discography. Like she has swirled him into all of these poems, excuse me. Like,
Yeah.
and then we were like,
Mhm.
oh no.
Yeah.
Also love the way that she says poems. So
Poems.
poems.
I
Yeah.
love it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And your rating?
This is an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Like I said, it's one of my like most played on TTPD, like not the anthology, but like the traditional album.
Yeah.
I just think I love the production of it. I think it's a really good song to sing along to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
8.5.
All right. Well, as I said, for me, it's much lower on the totem pole. So I only gave it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's a pretty low rating for me. But again, like this is on a Taylor scale. So like it's still a great song. It's just in the, in the context of other songs on this album, it's not very high for me.
Yeah.
And then my favorite lyric is this one.
My friends tried it, I wouldn't hear it. Watch me daily disappearing for just one glimpse of his smile.
So good.
I love that lyric because, I just think it really paints a picture as she always does. I also think it's super relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is like Taylor. She's just like us.
She's just like us.
Develop feelings for like toxic boys that our friends are like, girl,
no.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, save yourself,
Yeah.
So
you just have to watch them fall apart. Yep. All right. This song as a recipe. For me, this song has like a smoky sweetness. Like it's like that Western meets like hopeful eagerness vibes. So I was just like, what does that taste like? And my brain came up with like a really good like rib, like smoked rib with like a sweet savory sauce. So I found this recipe that uses applesauce and brown sugar as the sauce, and it just like sounds amazing. Also, like shout out to our friend Dave. Dave makes the best ribs, and like Dave, if you want to like drop your rib recipe, please let us know. But like just made me think of like really delicious ribs with like a little bit of that tangy sweetness to it. So yeah.
Okay. So for me, I was thinking about like that infamous dinner we were talking about that she had with Joe. Like, I feel like this song really makes me think of that moment, that winter silent dinner is bitter and like fresh out the slammer, like her being done and needing to get out of this. So I actually looked up that restaurant. It's called Saba. It's a Mediterranean and Israeli restaurant where they had that dinner in New Orleans. So I checked out their menu and I was like, what on the menu feels like this song? And I picked out their spicy lamb ragu with scallions and crispy chickpeas because this song is a little spicy, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So then I found a recipe online for a braised lamb ragu from the site Plays Well with Butter. It has a slow cooker and Instapot options for making it. So
I love a braised lamb.
Yeah, it sounds good. But I feel like that kind of fits the vibe. Kind of similar to yours a little bit. So
we should definitely have a dinner party where we like make all these recipes as like a 5-course dinner of like party. we have our fresh out the slammer braised lamb ragu and guilty as sin shot of whiskey. Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, before we close out, just a reminder, we have a Patreon. Our latest episode is us unpacking the Taylor Swiftness of Lady Gaga's newest song, How Bad Do You Want Me, which was a total bop. And why don't we place a little snippet at the end of this episode?
Yeah, we'll do a little preview for you to hear.
So stay after our sign off so you can listen to that little preview.
Also, reminder that if you don't want to commit to a membership on Patreon, you can buy individual episodes on there for $8. So if you're like, oh, I really want to hear them talk about How Bad Do You Want Me? You don't have to subscribe. You can go on and purchase individual episodes. But you can purchase them straight from the Apple Podcasts, and you can also connect to it through Spotify. So, and if you're having
try to make it easy
with that, please email us. We'll be happy to help you figure all that stuff out. I also wanted to make a note that we've decided we will also be covering older songs from Taylor's discography on the Patreon because right now we're definitely focused on Tortured Poets because it's her newest album. And we really do want to continue unpacking all of these luscious songs from that album. And then as she releases new music, we're probably going to like continue that mentality and be doing the newer songs. But of course, we have like a lot to say about every song that came before Tortured Poets.
Of course. Yeah.
And so like, obviously we'd rather like do that on the main pod, but my thought was like, we can either possibly never get to those songs or we can do those songs on the Patreon.
Now. Yeah. No. So like if you want us to get into the lore of like Dear John, like that's a Patreon episode. If you want us to talk about, you know, Out of the Woods, that's going to be a Patreon episode.
And so if you have a request in that department and you're like, I'm not a member, but I would happily pay $8 to hear you talk about like my favorite song, definitely email us and we can add it to the list and we'd be happy to do that. So
yes. Speaking of, if you want to email us your requests or if you have any other questions about Patreon or whatever, our website is blankplatepodcast.com, but our email is blankplatepod@gmail.com. So again, if you have any special requests for like Patreon episodes, if you're like, you know what, I'm in, I want to do this, I want to support, but I don't want to do the subscription thing, I only want to hear like my favorite song off 1989, make sure you email us there. And you can also text us or leave us a voicemail at 717-382-8313 to share all your thoughts about everything, Taylor.
Yeah. And thank you so much for joining us once again. Remember to also follow us at Blank Plate Pod on TikTok and Instagram, and check us out on YouTube if you're not already watching us there.
Yes. And if you're a new listener, thank you so much for finding us online and giving us a follow and listening. And you can support us on Patreon, which is linked in our show notes.
Yeah. So until next time, we had the time of our lives with you.
And you know it's time to go, but only after this little Patreon snippet. So enjoy.
Yeah. Stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. This bridge is incredible. This tiny little bridge.
This is not a Taylor bridge. This is not a typical Taylor bridge, but I love this bridge. This bridge is such a slay. So here we go.
Yeah.
That girl in your head ain't real. How bad do you want me for real?
Oh. Slay.
This is so Gaga.
It's like, so theatrical.
How bad do you want me for real? Like, I love this part of the song. Like, I was playing this in the car for Josh last night because I was telling him about all this research I did. And he hadn't heard this song yet. I was like, what do you mean you haven't heard this song?
Luke hasn't heard this song either. And I feel like he's going to love this song. This is going to be, because Luke loves Gaga and we've listened to Abracadabra and the beginning part of the album, but we haven't gotten to this one with it together.
Okay.
It's so,
but I was like, Josh, how have you not heard this on TikTok? But then so I'm playing it. And then before this part, I was like, wait, this is the best part. It's like, how bad do you want me for real?
To me, like, visually, what I imagine her performing this like is like, that girl in your head ain't real. How bad do you want me for real? Flicks the camera off and then walks away. Like, or just like hair toss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, this song needs to be on RuPaul's Drag Race. This needs to be lip sync for your life, because this moment alone would be so iconic.
Yeah.
So iconic.
Yeah. So like we said, this is like classic Gaga sound, the way she's like talk singing here. But again, like Taylor also does talk singing a lot. This is like the Gaga version of it. But there are a couple instances where Taylor also does like a similar like low voice talk singing. So I was thinking of New Romantics.
The rumors are terrible and cruel, but honey, most of them are true.
Honey, most of them are true.
Honey.
And then I almost didn't even think of this one, but like, never forget this iconic part of Maroon.
The burgundy on my t-shirt when you splashed it one into me, and how the blood rushed into my cheeks so scarlet.
Like
Taylor's favorite song.
Yeah, like she is feeling herself in that verse right there.
Oh, yes, that low register.
Yeah. Also, another crazy thing that's similar to Taylor in this tiny little bridge, okay, is that vocal run right at the end where Gaga sounds like this. Okay.
Yes.
It is really similar to a vocal run in Blank Space. Let me find it. Okay, but listen, because it's actually a background vocal here. So listen for this.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
Okay. Yep.
Let me play that again. All right.
Yeah.
And remember, this was the Gaga version.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then there's also a similar one in Shake It Off.
Yeah.
A more drawn out version of it there. But the similarities are there.
The similarities are there.